Thank you. Ms. Howard is present. The jury is here but not in the courtroom. We have a matter to address, counsel, regarding the Cody Wilson. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I received information from Mike, the investigator who is from my office, the public defender's office, who is on the witness list, the defense witness. And Cody had texted a witness, being Mike, last night or this morning. Do you want me to quote?
Yeah, so we have it for the record.
And the text messages, one of which would be, well, I have proof you told me we didn't have signed that subpoena, that we were just served for that 2nd of May, end quote. Another message, quote, I have been 3 hours away because of my brother and him not doing so good. So I don't know why you guys think that Tabby is in self-defense, but I am the one that was in self-defense. And what was your point of being hired? You weren't there. You don't know what happened. Wait till you guys meet the lawyer I'm hiring, because you promised things that you shouldn't have and that you couldn't. And we have proof and many witnesses.
Okay. And has this investigator, not trying to violate any attorney-client privilege, but is this, I think the testimony was that he's been in communication with her earlier in this case?
Yes, he went to the residence and was very clear about his role and essentially working within the office of the public defender, and then she agreed to speak to him in addition to Matt Wilson. After there was she then revoked the ability of him approaching her at the residence, and he hasn't had any communication and has not responded to her in any way.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else you want to say regarding that?
I guess I would ask for a mistrial. However, I would understand, given the roundabout way that it has to do with the trial. It's not directly related as a threat. However, it is and could be viewed as intimidating as far as a witness would be. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jupp?
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't believe it's grounds for a mistrial. Ms. Wilson testified yesterday. The investigator was present for that testimony as Ms. Michek's private investigator. I am concerned about the fact that the investigator was indicating that they could ignore subpoenas. That's obviously an issue my office will take up with the public defender's office to kind of make sure that what is relayed to witnesses and victims and discussed is legally accurate. As obviously if they're served with a subpoena, they would then have a duty to comply and come to court.
Where was that? I'm sorry, was that in the text somewhere?
Well, if we believe what Cody Wilson says, then she would be saying that he told her that she doesn't have to sign a subpoena.
Oh,
but
okay.
credibility-wise, I don't know how accurate that would be.
I was wondering what that was referencing, so now I know. Okay.
Sure. It's just not the first time I've heard it by parties involved, and so it's an issue we'll address on the back end. But in terms of reason for a mistrial, I don't see one present today, and that's all I'll say on that.
Okay. I'm going to deny the request for a mistrial, as noted by Ms. Michek, that this does appear to be a violation of the court sequestration order, although almost barely so. The investigator was here in the courtroom when she testified. The investigator has been communicating with her, as he has the right to do prior to trial. But no one in this case got information about someone else's testimony, which is the main goal of ordering that people not testify, not talk to each other, so that they can't coordinate their testimony with other witnesses and things like that. So I'm finding in a sense that it's harmless, if you will, as it relates to any mistrial issues, so I'll deny the request for mistrial.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, counsel, before we bring in the jury?
I would just like to address the fact, Your Honor, that Ms. Wilson notified me at 6:26 this morning via text message that she was en route to Flint. As her testimony indicated yesterday, her brother has been in and out of hospitals. They were looking into hospice care. He was assaulted in September last year, not long after this assault. She is his power of attorney and only family. and so she had informed me that she would be unable to come to court today. She testified yesterday when the court inquired of me as to whether or not I released her from her subpoena. I said, no, I would at this point request that she be allowed to be released from her subpoena in light of her family medical emergency, but I understand that Ms. Muchek may have different plans.
Okay. Ms. Meacham?
I swear I'm not heartless, but I do have some further questioning at this point in time now. If Matt Wilson is going to be sufficient for the questions I would ask, then so be it. But at this point, I would say that I would have further questions for her, and I would call her as a witness as it stands right now.
Okay, so she was the last witness yesterday. You had a full cross, redirect cross, all that happened. What new questions do you have for her?
It would be,
that
I mean,
you didn't
depending
explore?
on what Matt Wilson would be saying, testifying to.
Okay.
It would be depending on that essentially.
Okay.
And it would go right to credibility.
Okay.
However,
So you don't know yet, but depending on
Yeah,
Matt Wilson, okay.
I would be hesitant to say it's fine for her to be released, but I just can't right now.
Okay.
And then I do believe her brother never left the hospital. He's always been in the hospital, so I'm not sure if that makes.
I think he was in step-down care because then he was rushed to the ER was the message I was given.
Okay. I'm going to deny the request to excuse her from her subpoena at this time. She made it very clear that she was unwilling to cooperate with the orders of the court, courtroom decorum, and displayed as hesitancy to appear. So, I'm not going to excuse her right now. We'll see if you need her.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, counsel?
I think that's it.
No? Okay, we'll bring in the jury. Sir, if you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat, and once you're settled, we'll have you state your full name and spell your last.
Matthew Allen Wilson, W-I-L-S-O-N.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Okay?
Yeah, from the accident. I just got to reposition my knee.
Yeah, you can move the microphone, move the chair, get yourself as comfortable as possible.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And what was your first name, sir?
Matthew.
Matthew. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, thank you for being here again today. So I am hoping to talk with you about an incident that occurred on September 9th of 2022. If you could just detail for me what kind of initiated a bit of a verbal altercation that evening, if you remember.
Well, the whole situation actually started with Dave and a buddy of his. He was fighting with his wife over trying to move into the house with his new girlfriend, which I don't know how that expected that to work or whatever, but so he was driving around the yard, causing a bunch of chaos, doing donuts in front of the kids and just scaring them or whatever. So my daughter calls me and my wife up because she's frightened. She don't know what to do. They're not stopping. And so I go up there to try to tell Dave, hey, look, there's other ways to handle this or whatever. And so me and him exchanged words and had a small altercation. And then things started to die down a little bit. And then, of course, Dave keeps running his mouth or whatever, and so the altercation keeps going on and words keep getting exchanged. So and then pretty soon everybody's just yelling at everybody, and just a big mess going on.
When you say that Dave's running his mouth, Cody running her mouth too at this point?
Well, yeah, both of us were kind of at Dave because he was basically running his mouth to both of us or whatever. We're trying to tell him that, look, dude, we understand you want your stuff back. There's other ways to go around it. Be smarter than that or whatever. Dave's my cousin. I mean, we grew up, or cousins closer than brothers, you know. It's been that way the whole life. And so normally I can kind of talk some sense into them or whatever. But, and that's what we were hoping that would happen, but of course, things went sour after that.
Okay. And at this point, was Tabitha, do you remember Tabitha being there? Or?
Tabitha didn't show up till the very end of me and Dave getting in the last altercation and exchange of words.
Okay. Do you remember seeing or hearing gunshots then?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and who was that fired the gun?
That was my son.
Your son?
Yes.
If you could just detail for me your memory of how that happened.
We were, I know he was out there earlier target practicing because we've got all kinds of targets set up out there or whatever. And then I just remember him coming back up. I heard several shots, you know, fired at the ground, and, you know, pretty much everything kind of started splitting off after that.
Okay.
At this time, Tabitha hadn't even been up there yet. She wasn't even around whenever the gunshots were going on.
Okay, okay. Did you personally see your son leave the area, or do you have any recollection of that?
Pretty much after like the gunshots and with the whole things with me and Dave. Yeah, I do remember him taking off at one point, and then ended up Josh, Tristan's boyfriend, had called him to come back or whatever because something about, you know, they was just afraid that things were going to get worse again or whatever. And that's when he assessed the situation, basically, or whatever.
What do you mean by assessing the situation? Is that when he came back and then fired the gun into the ground, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So.
See, the whole time that was going on, me and Dave were having our thing too, you know, so it's just, we heard, you know, several shots, and then everybody's just kind of like, whatever.
And when
know?
you say having your thing, you all got into a physical fight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, the shots are fired into the
Do you
ground.
object for leading at this point?
I'm just trying to flesh out the chronological order of the events here. So,
I'll overrule the objection at the end.
so the shots are fired into the ground. Then what happens? Is Tabitha show up right at that moment, or when does
She showed up, it was probably a few minutes afterwards. It was roughly when me and Dave were just getting done.
Okay.
With verbal, and then he started running his mouth again, and then that's when I ended up hitting him in the mouth. And then he had noticed Tabitha pulling up and told her to call cops.
Okay.
And then it was pretty much shortly after that, it's when me and Cody, well, as soon as she showed up or whatever, and then her and Cody started exchanging words or whatever, so Cody took the focus off on Dave, and then them two started exchanging their words. Well, it would only lasted just, I don't even think, a couple minutes or whatever, and then everything pretty much broke up. We started heading down.
When you say it only lasted a couple minutes, you mean the exchange
The whole,
between Cody and
yeah,
Tabitha,
the
or-
whole mess that happened up
Okay.
on the hill there.
So it kind of came to a simmer and then boiled over and was done in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So as the argument is kind of ending, where are you and Cody?
I had got Cody, and we started walking back to our place.
Okay. And can you kind of explain the route you
Yeah.
take?
So the way that, okay, so there's a big horseshoe driveway. There's two houses here, my daughter's house and Roxanne's. And altercation happened right here, basically in the middle of the horseshoe. Pretty much after everything was done, that's when Tabitha decided to pull in. And then she was pulling in basically just as me and Dave was getting done. And that's why I said when I hit him in the mouth, that's when he told her to call the cops. And I told her, I was like, you know what, this ain't even worth it. Let's go home, whatever. And like I said, they were only having exchange words. I don't even think 2 minutes.
Did you see Dave or Tabitha pull out a phone and call police at that time?
No, Tabitha sat in the car. Everything was, you know, kind of dusk or whatever. There was no dome lights in the car. Everything was dark.
Okay. Okay, so you start to walk back, do you walk all the way down the horseshoe driveway?
No,
You cut through
no, I
the
cut
grass?
through the, our neighbor's, portion of the lawn there or whatever. It's a pathway that we've used for 40 years. You know, because my uncle used to own all that property up there, so it was just a little access way that we always, instead of going out to the road or whatever, we just cut through the yard.
And then by cutting through the yard, do you get to your driveway?
Yes, we get to our driveway.
Okay.
And then, I see Dave take off. He goes around down into the gully and to the back or whatever.
If you're okay to stop for a second, I'm just gonna pull up a picture real quickly. I'm hoping this kind of helps us just explain your routes a little bit. So when you say that you cut through the neighbor's yard, kind of on the left side of the horseshoe?
Yeah, yep, kind of right through there.
Okay, and when you say Dave took off kind of down the gully, did he take
Yep, right through that path that they normally always take.
Okay. Now, I want to just ask you about that path. Is it just for like four-wheelers and all-terrain
No.
vehicles?
No, they drive their vehicles up and down at Bailey and nightly.
Okay. Would you say that that is, from your experience living on the property, the road most traveled to get back to where Dave's camper or trailer
Yeah.
was?
Yeah, because for a while Dave's stepdad had cut off access ways because he kept getting tired of people driving through his lawn and tearing it all up, because his is actually a lot steeper. So everybody, as they start going up his lawn, they start spinning their tires, and
Okay.
so it's easier to actually get back to where their camper was, taking that through the gully there.
Now, it's not a paved road, it's like a two-track.
Yeah, it's like a two-track, but it's been like, you know, it's been driven on for 40 years, so.
Okay. So if you were saying like a Chevy Malibu or a small vehicle, you could
Oh,
still.
she drove down at Bailey,
Okay, okay,
Who's she?
Tabitha.
okay. In her white vehicle
In her
that she
white
was driving that evening?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were saying that you kind of were walking back, you saw Dave go off towards the gully.
Yep,
What
Dave
did
took
you
off
see
towards the
next?
gully, and that's the last I seen of Dave. He never once showed back up for anything. And then, once we got down to our driveway,
Did you see Tabitha move her vehicle at all? Or
she actually stayed up in that driveway, I don't know, for, I'd like to say, a minute or two.
Okay.
After Dave even left. Enough time for me to get down to my driveway and kind of about 15 feet ahead of Cody, because I basically was kind of waiting on her to get out through the driveway. That way, at least I know she's in our area, you know, or whatever. And then I kind of look back, and then I see her start to back out or whatever. And then, so I'm like, you know,
You're using a lot of pronouns. You see her back out, you see Tabitha
I see
walk
Tabitha
out,
back out.
and you were kind of 15.
Well, I'm kind of, you know, looking at Cody.
To make sure
just to
Cody's
make sure
following
she's
you.
coming.
Okay, you're both
And
talking at the same
I'm
time.
sorry.
so
And out of the
just-
corner of
we
my
can't
eye, I can
take-
see
It's an
Tabitha
organic conversation.
backing out of the horseshoe driveway.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
This is all being recorded, and
Yeah.
I'm pretending we're having a cup of coffee, having a conversation here, and it needs to be cleaner than that, so I apologize. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'll let you finish your answer, and then I'll ask you another question.
Okay.
So you use the pronoun of her, waiting for her to come back. Who is the her that you were checking on to make sure?
Cody.
Okay, you wanted to make
I
sure
was making
Cody.
sure that she was following me home and not trying to continue, you know, any type of verbal altercations or anything, which she
Okay.
kind of was pretty winded then anyways, you know, because she's got COPD, so.
Okay,
Yeah, she can yell for a minute, but for a minute.
okay. So you're back on your property
Yes.
at this point, and what happens next?
Well, then I hear her pull in down the paved driveway, and then I hear skid marks, so she was pulling in pretty quick. And then, which I figured, you know, Cody's in the grassway or whatever, you know. And then, like I said, I just kind of continued walking up or whatever, not really paying attention. And then all of a sudden I hear both of the, Cody and Tabby start yelling. And then that's whenever she had pulled up by Cody and apparently got out and hit her in the head with a pipe.
Okay, I just want to hear about, I want to hear about what you saw. You said you heard skid marks.
I heard skid marks.
And you were ahead or
Probably-
behind Cody?
I was ahead of Cody.
You were
I was
ahead about-
probably, yeah, a good 20, 30 feet ahead of Cody.
Sir, we're all hearing you, but you're in front of the microphone, so it may
Oh,
not be
sorry.
picking up on us. Thank you.
Okay. Do you, when you hear the skid marks, do you turn around and look
Yeah,
to see what's
then I
happening?
looked back, and by that time, they were already out, already arguing. I hadn't even known that Cody was hitting in the head yet.
Okay.
I hear a bunch yelling, and then I see Cody and her go through the fence.
Okay.
And then, they were just, you know, on the ground scrapping, so I was just kind of, hey, whatever, you know, duke it out. And, so I started walking up there, and, I hear Cody saying that she's hitting me with something. And as I'm getting closer, I'm hearing tink, 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 tink. Well, by the time I was able to get up there and do what I can do to try to separate them, I see Tabby hitting her in the head with a pipe. And so I went to go try to get her leg, or Tabitha's leg. Well, I pulled Cody's leg, thinking that I had Tabitha's leg, and that gave Tabitha the option to give her that last whack across the bridge of the nose. And so then I grabbed Tabitha by the leg, pulled her out of the leg, and then that's when Cody got up and then started kicking her in the face.
Okay, so Cody got up, kicked her in the face. Did you at any point besides pulling her off, lay hands on
No.
Tabitha? Okay, so you pull her off, Cody kicks her in the face. What ends that portion of this fight?
Well, Cody ends up, you know, she's got blood all running down her face and everything, so she ends up sitting down trying to catch her breath. Well, Tabitha gets up and then turns over at me and starts swinging a pipe at me, and then that's when I blocked it and I hit her out of the way.
Okay. So how far would you say you were from Tabitha when she swung the pipe at you?
Enough for me to block it right up out of my arm.
Okay. And if you had not thrown your arm up...
She would have
where-
hit me right in the head, too.
Okay. When she got up, did she have to run towards you? Or
No,
just
she
turn-
got up, it was just some, like, evil look and just grabbed the pipe and come right at me.
Did she say anything to
Nope,
you?
there was no word, no nothing.
Did this, let me take that back. So when you turned back and saw the vehicle, did you see who advanced towards who first?
No, like I said, by that time, by the time I actually was up over where they were already going at it. So as soon as I heard the skid marks, pretty much she was out of the car. She had already hit Cody.
Okay, so let me ask you, did you see Tabitha get out of the car?
No,
She was already out of the
she was
car.
already out of the car, and they were already going at it.
And how long do you think from when you heard the skid marks till when you saw her making contact with Cody?
Matter of seconds.
A matter of seconds. In that time frame, did you ever see her turn back towards her car?
Nope,
No.
nope.
Are you aware of Cody having any weapons on
Cody
him?
had no weapons on him.
Did you have any weapons on him?
No, I didn't.
And you described that Cody was kind of in the grass area. Is this of your
The
lawn?
grass area is my yard, yes.
Your yard?
Yep.
Okay.
And then that's when they broke through the fence in my yard.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. I'm just reading through, make sure I didn't miss anything. Do you remember being interviewed by law enforcement that evening
Yes, I was interviewed at the hospital.
at the hospital? Okay. Do you remember at any point indicating that you heard Cody tell Tabitha to go back to the house?
Honestly, I don't recall.
Okay. Okay.
said, I heard the skid marks and then yelling, and it was like just a whole matter of, basically, by the time me turning around to look, they were already going at it, going through the fence, and
Okay, and how long from when you see Cody sitting down, kind of covered in blood, to when you hear sirens and a law enforcement presence?
oh, it was a matter of, I don't even think 2 minutes.
Okay.
It was pretty much, she sat down, and it was literally like shortly just after that. I actually think we could hear the sirens coming down
Okay.
the road.
And I did think of one other question I wanted to ask you. So you said you threw up your arm and then you punched her. At what point was she disarmed?
The only time I know of that she was disarmed is after I hit her out of the way with it,
Okay.
from me.
Do you remember taking the pipe from her?
I
or-
didn't take
Okay.
the pipe. I ended up finding it on the ground. She had already pulled off, went to the back, and then she had left it on the side of the ground there. And that's when I had picked it up and turned it over to the officer.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Meachek?
Just to be clear on some testimony, you did not observe Tabitha get out of the vehicle that night,
Whenever she pulled down the driveway,
correct?
look, I didn't physically see her. No, like I said, I heard the skid marks.
You did not see her get out of the vehicle.
No.
Therefore, you cannot testify as to whether she had a pipe in her hand or
Yeah, I
not.
can testify because I witnessed her beating my wife in the face with it.
But you did not observe her get out of the vehicle.
No, I didn't. I observed them yelling as they're going at this
Okay.
and
Thank you.
then falling through a fence.
I just wanted to be clear about your observations or lack of observations as it related to that. Thank you.
I don't
So,
know how you see lack of observation when I physically witnessed her beating my wife in the face with it when I was trying to split them up. I don't know where you're
Thank-
going with that. There is no self-defense on her end, as far as.
Excuse me.
Sir?
I'm sorry.
She's trying to ask you questions. Just answer the questions, please.
I want
Yes,
to,
ma'am.
I want to remind you that you're under oath.
Yes,
Did you
I
have any
am.
communication with your wife last night?
With my wife, I have communication with my wife every night.
Did you talk about the case?
No, we did not.
Okay. Do you remember testifying at the preliminary examination?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And at the preliminary examination, you indicated that it would not be unusual for Tabitha to drive down that driveway, the driveway where you heard the skid marks.
Before all this altercation, yeah, they would go back and see Dave's mom. You know, there was no problem with anything. When they'd go see his mom, yeah, they would go back. But when they would go to her camper, they always took the
The
two-track.
two-track? The two-track.
Yes. Because like I said, his stepdad
Yeah.
had started blocking all that
So
area up.
it was not unusual for her to be on that driveway at that point in time on September 9th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you also indicated you were ahead of Cody.
Yes.
You were keeping an eye on Cody because you were worried she was going to go and start.
I just didn't want anything else started, you know. We were heading home, everything's, it's bygones
So,
be bygones, it's over.
so you were worried that Cody would pursue or continue
No,
running her mouth.
no. I didn't want anything else going on. Whether it was her doing anything, or Tabitha doing anything, or whoever doing anything.
Okay. So you kept an eye on her for that purpose?
Yes,
Okay.
just protection-wise.
And to go back to the initial event that kind of was the triggering circumstance, I suppose, you wanted to talk some sense into Dave, right?
Yes,
By talking sense to him, you punched him in the face.
No. By talking sense into him, I'm trying to talk to him, reason with him, that he needs to quit driving like an idiot around circles scaring our grandkids.
And ultimately, you assaulted him and punched him in the face.
After we were up in each other's face and he's spitting on me, and, yeah. Because Dave has a tendency to spit on you whenever he talks.
Okay. And you responded with violence by punching him?
Yeah,
Correct? Okay.
I had it, but you know what? That was never,
And,
nothing was ever brought up about that, so that's all irrelevant.
and you also testified that Tabitha had not arrived until after the gunshots, correct?
Correct. It was almost to the end of the altercation up on the hill.
Okay. And these gunshots that went off were to disperse this crowd?
Yeah, the crowd of them driving around, me and Dave. Dave was going at it with his stepson.
The volatile activity and the behaviors?
Yes. Dave was pretty much going after anybody he could go after.
Okay. And once Tabitha arrived, you indicated that Cody directed her, I guess, energy or her,
They both started exchanging words to each other. It wasn't one just,
and, well, you also indicated that Tabitha remained in her vehicle.
yeah, she was yelling at her vehicle.
Okay. And Cody was where?
Cody was sitting on a log over
Yelling
by the, yes,
at Tabitha?
yes. And they were probably 30 feet away.
So Cody's yelling at Tabitha, Tabitha's sitting in her car, correct?
Tabitha's yelling at Cody while she's sitting in her car.
And Tristan was in the, I guess, the area at that point in time as well?
She had just come back out
Okay.
after making sure that the kids were in there. Josh had them set. He was sitting with the kids, so she come back out just to make sure that, you know, everything was kind of going to stay calm and splitting up.
So, and that was after the gunshots.
Yes, this is all after all that.
So the children were in, I guess they were there?
They were inside.
Okay.
Well, when Dave was driving around doing donuts in the yard, and his buddy driving his motorcycle all over, like, the kids were actually outside playing.
Okay. And reckless driving can be dangerous, correct?
Yes, especially around toddlers.
Well, and especially firing a gun would be dangerous too. Yes.
But
Is that,
that,
are you agreeing that it would be dangerous to have a gun going off?
depends on the situation. If it was in a situation that happened at that, no, it was not a dangerous situation.
Gunshots go off, Tabitha arrives shortly thereafter. Words are exchanged between Cody and Tabitha, correct?
Yes.
And then ultimately, you and Cody start walking down to the drive. That would be Jerry's driveway?
Yes.
Okay, and who is Jerry?
Jerry is Dave's mom.
Dave's mom's driveway?
Yes.
Okay. So you're walking towards Dave's mom's driveway?
Walking towards my property, which is on the other side of Dave's mom's drive.
Okay. And you're ahead of Cody, got that clear. You did not observe Cody, or you did not observe Tabitha get out of the
I
vehicle?
heard the skid marks.
But-
I heard yelling.
But you didn't observe her get out of the vehicle?
No.
Okay. And when you ultimately observed what was going on, they were already on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. And Cody was on top of Tabitha?
Yes.
Okay. And while Cody was on top of Tabitha, you're walking in their direction?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say, I guess, walking, or was it a fast
It
walk?
was a kind of, trot, get up there
Okay.
or whatever.
So,
I said I was only 15, 20 feet ahead of her.
So it was a brisk, fast walk?
Yeah.
To get to where they were? Okay. And at that point in time, you grabbed somebody's leg to...
At that time, I tried splitting them up apart like this. And when I was trying to split them like that, that's when I seen Tabby repeatedly beating her in the face with a pipe.
Okay. And that was when Cody would be on top of her?
Yes, Cody was basically fell on top of her. I mean, it's not like,
Did you see Cody fall on top of her?
I seen them both go through the fence.
Okay. And at that point in time, your actions were to grab a leg to pull a leg apart.
To try to split them apart, I ended up pulling Cody's leg first, which gave Tabitha the opportunity to smack her across the bridge of the nose again.
Okay. And again, you remember testifying at the preliminary examination, correct?
Yes.
When you ultimately pulled Tabitha's leg to separate the fight, I guess, was that the opportunity for Cody to then get up?
That was the opportunity. It was just to split the fight. Cody just happened to get up and start kicking her.
Okay, she just happened to start
She
kicking
just,
her?
yeah.
While you were pulling Tabitha's leg?
No, I had already pulled them apart.
Okay.
So it's not like I was pulling her leg and Cody starts kicking her while I'm pulling her. I pulled Tabitha, it was just like that. I grab and pull and let go.
Okay. And but at that point in time, Cody had the opportunity to kick Tabitha in the face because you were pulling her leg.
Like I said, when I pulled them apart, Cody sprung up, yes, and kicked her in the face.
How many times?
I don't know. There was everything going on, 2 or 3 times that I know of. And then it was like I said, pretty much as soon as I got them apart, she stood up, kicked her, and then it was shortly after that is when she got lightheaded and had to sit down. And then that's when Tabitha got up and proceeded to come towards me.
Now, okay, so you testified in direct that she didn't come toward you. So what is
I
it?
was right there. She got up, she turned around and tried to hit me with the pipe.
And then
that's-
she fled the scene, Tabitha did.
Yes.
Right, well, and then just before she fled the scene, you clocked her in the face. You
Yeah.
punched her in the face.
Yeah, because she was going to hit me in the head with a pipe.
Okay.
I got a big mark across my arm. I'm pretty sure you've seen the pictures.
So Tabitha gets up, she
I got
sees you.
assaulted with the pipe first.
Tabitha stands up, correct?
What?
Tabitha stands up,
Yes.
and she would then have
Looks
you
right at
there.
me, grabs the
So
pipe,
she
and
stands
comes
up
at me
and
with it.
You're right there.
Yes.
After this assault, okay, and she goes to hit you with a pipe?
Yes.
After you just pulled her leg and separated a fight and allowed
I
her
was
to kick her?
3 feet away from both of them.
Now you're 3 feet away. Okay.
What are you talking about?
I'm just trying to figure out where you were and if actually Tabitha made an advance towards you or not. Because
She
the
stood
testimony-
up. We was all within the same vicinity around. I mean, I can reach out 6 feet and hit somebody with a pipe.
You can, but can Tabitha do that?
She's not much shorter than I am.
Okay. Ultimately, you swung and punched Tabitha in the face.
Yes, after she hit me with a pipe.
And she fled the scene.
Yes, afterwards.
Could she flee the scene as Cody was on top of her on the ground?
If she wanted to, if she wanted to quit hitting her with a pipe,
Well, Cody was on top of her, correct?
they could have, yeah.
Okay.
Cody's trying to fight for her life. What do you expect her to do? Sit there and just keep getting hit in the face? No, she's going to throw punches. Somebody's hit me in the face with a pipe, I'm going to do everything I can to, get them off me too.
Okay.
So that's why I said, I don't know where you're going with this. It's all irrelevant. There's no self-defense on her end of this whatsoever. So I don't even know why everybody's wasting all this time.
Did the officer take pictures of your
Yes,
arm? Were you, did you suffer any injuries?
just a bruise across my arm.
Okay.
And my wife got,
I don't care.
what'd she got?
I only asked you about your injuries.
Well, I do care about my wife, so.
And again, your testimony under oath is that you did not speak to Cody Wilson about this case or testimony?
No, I did not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jipp, any redirect? Oh, so you're not done yet?
Okay.
Ms. Jipp, any redirect?
Just really briefly, so when you threw your arm up, was the punch kind of simultaneous
It was
to
all
that?
just a reaction.
Okay, so kind of a defense and then a bat away.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you said you ended up with a bruise there. Was that immediately apparent, or did that come up after time?
Probably 2-3 minutes.
Okay, okay. Did you yourself have to seek any medical treatment?
No, I didn't seek any medical treatment myself. It was just, I had just a mark across the arm.
Okay. And just so that I can kind of get a better understanding of the timing, when you blocked and punched, Tabitha then ran?
No, she fell on the ground.
Okay, she fell on
And
the
then got
ground.
up, got in her car, and then drove to the back.
Did she say anything?
Nope,
as
there
she
wasn't a
left?
word said, nothing. She just got up, got in her car, drove to the back.
Okay, and at this point, were you already hearing sirens?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
And
when
then
I'm looking
how
to the
soon
back,
till you
you know,
visibly saw law enforcement?
maybe a matter of a minute,
Okay.
maybe 2 minutes at the most.
Okay. And just so I have a better understanding, who owns the driveway? Is that on your land, somebody else's land?
Well, I was under the impression that, because technically, it's Del Rose's right away to his fields. It is on his mom's property, but Del Rose technically owns that driveway, but it's
So
on
he
his mom's
owns-
right.
So, okay. So he has a right of way.
He has a
and
right of
his
way to
mom
it,
owns the
and his
property.
mom owns the property.
Okay.
So-
And when you saw Tabitha's vehicle stop, was she in the middle of the roadway or right next to your
She
your
was
lawn?
right up over on the edge of the driveway.
On the edge of the driveway. And
Yes,
so,
on my side.
so what you saw, when you saw most of this altercation take place, was that on your property?
Yes, they crashed through the fence, everything, all the fighting happened, crashed right through the fence.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, Ms. Michek?
You're married to you're married to, not to Tabitha, you're married to Cody Wilson,
Yes,
17 years?
yes.
You love her?
Well, not 17, we've been married, this will be 11 years, we've been together 17 years.
You love her?
Yeah, I love my wife.
You do anything for her?
I'm not gonna sit here and lie for her,
But,
if that's what, I know that's what you're trying to get at, so I already know your game. So, but yeah, no, me and my wife didn't talk about this case, so,
no, I was just establishing the relationship and the dynamic.
and I'm not gonna sit here and lie under oath for anything. No matter how much I love my wife.
I'm just saying that you are married to Cody Wilson, you've been for a long time, correct?
Yes,
All right. You care about her.
yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Judd?
No, no.
Okay, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Jury, do you have any questions of this witness? I think I saw at least one hand go up. Take your time and write it down. Have you written it down already? Okay, we'll retrieve the question. Sir, I have a couple of questions from the jury, no objection from counsel. How long were Tabitha and Cody on the ground? If you know.
A couple minutes.
What were you doing as Tabitha stood up? Was anyone yelling to stop?
At that point, I was actually trying to get over to Cody to see how she was doing, because she had actually sat down on the ground. And then, as I was just fixing to turn over towards Cody, is when Tabitha stood up, turned towards me, come at to hit me with the pipe.
Okay.
So like I said, we were all in like a, arm's length vicinity away from each other.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any follow-up questions? Counsel?
I guess just so I can have a clear answer, was anybody at any point yelling like stop or?
All I heard was Cody saying is she's hitting me with something. And then like when I was trying to split them apart, that's why I said I seen Tabby just beating her repeatedly in the face with a pipe.
Nothing further.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
Jury, any other questions of this witness? None? Okay. Is this witness excused from subpoena, counsel?
I'd ask that he be kept under subpoena until defendant testifies.
Okay. So, sir, you're done for now, but you are still under your subpoena for now anyway, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Jeff?
I hate to do this, Your Honor, but I really need to use the restroom.
You cannot.
That's too much coffee this morning.
Okay, we'll take a break, jury, for 15 minutes until 5 to 10.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat, and when comfortable, we'll have you state your full name and spell your last.
My name is Michael Vallier, V-A-L-L-I-E-R.
Thank you. Ms. Jeff?
Thank you, Trooper. If you could state how you're employed.
I am employed by the Michigan State Police at the Paw Paw Post.
Paul Post, and how long have you worked with Michigan State Police?
Just under 4 years.
Just under 4 years, okay. Were you working on September 9th of 2022?
I was.
Okay, and what is your typical shift hours?
I work 2 to midnight.
2 to midnight, okay. Were you working 2 to midnight shift on September 9th of 2022?
Yes, I was.
Okay. General road patrol, or what are your typical duties?
Yep, just road patrol, traffic stops, respond to calls, emergencies.
Okay. And if you respond to a call, does that then become your investigation?
It does, yes.
Okay, so if you're the first one to respond,
Correct.
okay. So on September 9th, at around 8:45 in the evening, were you dispatched to an address in Gobles?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and was that, Bloomingdale Township,
Yes, I believe so.
Van Buren County, Michigan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what was your understanding of the ongoing situation? Why were you being dispatched?
I was dispatched to a shooting. Dispatch told me that they got a call of shots fired and cars kind of speeding away from that residence.
Okay. About how long did it take you to respond to the scene?
I'd say approximately 10 to 15 minutes is how long it took me to get there.
Okay. Because it was a top priority, or why?
My distance away, and I don't know exactly how long until dispatch actually dispatched the call out to law enforcement. Usually they gather information. So from the time the initial call actually came in to the time I actually got there, by the time they disseminated information to us, I'd say is around 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. If you could just describe for us where you pull in initially to the property?
I initially came to the first address, and it was the first dirt drive, the horseshoe drive is where I pulled up first.
Okay. And did you see people there?
I saw a female who was waving me down, saying that her mom was just hit.
Okay. So that immediately grabs your attention, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it was a little chaotic. So that's not what I was expecting when I got there. But basically she told me to, I said where, and she said, I basically followed her to the next drive over, and that's where I kind of found.
So when you follow her, kind of paint a picture. What do you see when you first get over?
So she walked like through the grass. I continued on the road to the next drive, and when I got there, I saw a couple people standing there, and I saw Cody Wilson who was sitting down, and she had blood on her face.
Okay. At this point, had anybody treated her or put a bandage on her head?
No.
Okay. Had any other law enforcement arrived by the time that you stumble upon Cody?
No, I believe that the next responding units are still a couple minutes behind me.
Okay. And so when you say you saw Cody Wilson sitting down, was Matt Wilson there?
I don't recall if he was immediately there. I believe he was there in the vicinity. I can't recall if he was right next to her or not.
Okay. And you said her daughter, Tristan?
Is the one who brought me over to her.
Okay. Anybody else there? Did you see Tabitha Howard in the area?
I did not.
Okay. So when you see Cody sitting there covered in blood, what's the next step in your investigation?
I asked her if she was okay. I believe she said her vision was foggy or she was a little out of it. So she started pointing, or the individuals in the group started saying that.
I'm sorry, she started what?
They started pointing up the hill, saying that Tabby hit her, and she went up the hill in a white car. I started EMS, priority 1, to come treat her injuries. And as I went back to my vehicle almost simultaneously, I saw headlights kind of facing us at the end of the driveway.
Facing you?
Correct.
Okay. Did that vehicle seem to be moving?
It was stopped, so when I saw the headlights, she was breathing, talking. Obviously she had blood, but she was otherwise conscious. I knew there were people coming, so I went to go find the other individual who they said was Tabby.
Let me just interject really quickly. So before you go to find Tabby, you check on Cody. What was her demeanor?
I'd say defeated. She was really a little out of it. She just was, didn't have much energy. She was just kind of sitting there. It's hard to put a word on it. She was just kind of, I guess you saw someone just sitting there.
Okay. Do you remember what she was wearing?
I don't recall what she was wearing.
Okay. Don't remember her shoes?
No.
Okay. When you then see these headlights, do you walk towards the headlights or do you move your cruiser there?
No, so obviously initial complaint we got was the shots fired, so I still kind of had the whole, there might be a gun somewhere involved in my mind. So I actually reactivated my emergency lights to let the vehicle know that I was law enforcement and I was coming up towards them. And when I got to the top of the driveway is where I met with Tabitha, where she was standing by a vehicle at the top of the hill.
Okay, what vehicle was she standing by?
I believe it was a Jeep.
Okay, and the lights were on still?
Correct.
Okay, did you see anyone else with Tabitha?
I saw like a silhouette running north. So I believe someone fled from the area, and that's when I made contact with Tabby. I asked her who it was, where they were going, and she informed me that that was Davey.
Okay, so you come up and you just see somebody kind of hightail it out of there?
Correct, and that's where I kind of then moved to, like I said, I still don't know, the complaint was still a shots fired complaint, and I had to make a determination if I wanted responding units to kind of set up a perimeter, if we were going to look for this person, and we ultimately, I was still there by myself, so I ultimately elected not to chase the person, and I stayed there with Tabitha.
Okay, because at that point, you don't know if it's a gunman or who it is, but just being a solo officer, you
Correct.
didn't feel safe.
When Tabby told me it was Davey, I asked if he was armed or had a gun, and I do believe that she told me he was not armed or did not have any guns with him.
Okay, so what was the next step in your investigation? Do you call backup?
So they were already on the way. As units started to arrive, everyone kind of filled the gaps and filled roles where they needed. At that point, once the patients were treated, or I believe Cody requested EMS or was treated by EMS, Tabitha declined EMS at first, but she ultimately needed to be treated. Then the kind of investigation starts to slow down, and then you kind of go towards the investigation where you had to kind of backtrack and unravel everything that happened.
Okay, so did you interview Cody or Matt that night?
I did not conduct an interview with them, no.
Okay,
Questions in passing, like, were they pointed where Tabitha went up the hill, or who is it, or hey, what happened, but I did not sit down with them and have like a formal interview and question them on the incidents that occurred.
okay. Did you interview Tabitha that night?
I did.
Okay. Did you or someone else read her Miranda rights first?
Correct. After I was trying to place people on where they were going to go, I came back to interview Tabitha, and I asked my partner if he had Mirandized her, and he said he did Mirandize her.
Okay, and that was Trooper Lagatuda?
Correct.
Okay. So having been Mirandized, you then spoke with Tabitha. Where was she when this conversation took place?
Tabitha was still, she appeared, I guess, tired or out of it. And when I started talking to her, she immediately just laid down on the ground. She didn't really want to cooperate at first. She didn't want to stand up with us. So most of our interview, she was kind of sitting down, leaning up against, I believe, the Jeep tire.
Okay.
But I was kind of kneeled down talking to her as she was sitting.
Okay, did she indicate that she had been there initially when the shots were fired? There meaning right in front of Tristan's home?
No, Tabitha informed me that she heard yelling and gunshots, at which point she left her camper to go see what was going on.
Okay. And then did she kind of give any background information about what that first argument or discussion was?
No.
Did she detail in any way kind of her involvement in that initial component? Okay. Did she at any point say to you that she was fearful that Cody had a gun or a weapon?
No.
Okay. What was her take on what had happened?
The initial incident, or
The assault with Cody.
Tabitha told me that she was in her car going up the drive and Cody was throwing rocks at her car. Tabitha said she didn't know where her car was being hit. She stopped and got out of the vehicle, at which point she said that Cody came after her. Tabitha said that at that point she reached into her back seat and grabbed the pipe. Tabitha did not know who hit who first. She did say that a physical altercation occurred between her and Cody, but she didn't know who hit who first, or I guess I couldn't get any details exactly on how it all sort of transpired.
Did you question her about her statement of Cody came at her?
Yeah.
And then the timing of being able to access a weapon?
Yeah, so I was unable to get any further details during our interview with her. Like when I asked her, she'd say, "Oh, like I said, you know, she came at me," and wouldn't really give details on what exactly that meant, or, I mean, distances or how the physical altercation unfolded.
Okay. Did you question her as to why she stopped the vehicle?
I did. She couldn't tell me why. She'd sort of go back to either repeating something she already said or go to like I said, she was throwing rocks or something of that nature.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to kind of check out her vehicle for damage?
I did. So I looked at the vehicle. I didn't observe any significant damage that looked like broken windows or big dents
Okay.
that I could see.
Did you direct an officer on scene to take photographs of that vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to approach you with what's been preliminarily marked as People's Exhibit 7. It is a series of 8 photographs of the defendant's vehicle. If you could take a minute and look at that. Before I ask any questions, do you know what type of vehicle the defendant indicated she was driving that evening?
No, I don't recall her stating specifically which vehicle she was driving. No.
Okay. Did she indicate she was in, did she point you towards this vehicle? Why specifically did you end up looking at that particular vehicle for damage?
I believe that's the one the witnesses said she was in.
Okay, so you went to review that. Do those pictures seem to accurately depict the vehicle as you remember it being on the evening of September 9th, 2022?
As I recall, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this point, we would move to admit People's Exhibit 7.
Any objections?
I would object, we don't know, based on the testimony from Cora, that is, the officer doesn't know, or, I'm sorry, trooper does not know. Therefore, I don't know if the foundation as it would be Tabitha's car has been established with the testimony.
Any response?
I believe prior witnesses have testified she was in a white vehicle. I can inquire further as to whether there are other white vehicles in the immediate vicinity and ask a few more foundational questions of the court.
Okay. I believe you've laid the foundation, so I'll overrule the objection.
So based on your survey of the vehicle, I believe you said you didn't notice any rock damage.
Correct.
And she couldn't indicate to you, oh, she threw a rock in my windshield, or specifics about that.
Correct.
Okay. Did she admit to having the pipe?
She did.
Did she admit to striking Cody with the pipe?
Yes.
Okay. At any point, did she indicate to you that she was jumped by Cody and Matt?
No.
Did she have anything to say in terms of Matt's component in this?
No.
Did she bring up his name at all?
Not that I recall.
Okay. I'm going to have you take a look at your report here,
Okay.
just to refresh your memory. Specifically this paragraph. And I'm just going to ask you again, did she seem to indicate that Matt had any role in this?
Yeah, but not in the initial
Not
incident
the
that occurred with the rocks in the vehicle.
Okay, so at some point she indicated that there was some involvement with Matt?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Was she ever able to give you a more clear play-by-play of what happened that evening, other than what you've already testified to?
No, she recall that she does believe that they had a wrestling match and went through the fence. Outside of that, I couldn't get any more specific details.
Did officers go out and canvass the neighborhood that evening?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anyone else located that witnessed the physical assault of Tabitha hitting Cody and Matt?
No, it was determined the only people who actually witnessed the incident was Tabitha, Cody, and Matt.
Okay. And if you could just identify for the court the suspect that you interviewed, Tabitha Howard, is she in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is she sitting at defense counsel's table?
Yes, she is.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Meacham?
Morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Just a few questions. When you arrived on scene for a dispatch call of a shots fired,
Yes,
your first contact was with Tristan.
that is correct.
And Tristan is the daughter of Cody,
Yes,
and that would be Matt's stepdaughter?
I believe.
Family?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. I believe
And-
you're referred to as his daughter, yeah.
Okay, family of some sort. And at that point in time, your understanding of the situation was that Cody was hit from Tristan, that is. Like Cody got hit.
Yes,
And then with that knowledge or that information, you proceeded forward with your investigation?
yes, correct.
The investigation, I guess, as a whole. Because at that point in time, it was chaotic with shots fired
Yeah,
and you being the only one on scene.
right.
Okay. So with the information that Cody or mom was hit, you then proceeded to make contact with Cody?
Yes,
And it was at that point in time that she was the victim, labeled the victim?
I suppose, yes, she's the first one I came in contact with.
Okay.
I believe, I mean, the way I put it out, they both had sustained injuries, so I wasn't really sure on who was, I mean, nobody was detained or arrested immediately. It was, we had to talk to them first, so.
And then your investigation continued to Tabitha, or up the hill where Tabitha?
Correct, yep.
And would a police officer or a trooper typically Mirandize somebody who was not a suspect?
Yes.
Did you Mirandize Cody, or was somebody on
I
scene?
did not interview them. I do not know.
Based on your investigation, are you aware of somebody Mirandized Cody?
I'm not aware if she was Mirandized or not.
Okay. And you've indicated that Tabitha had a head wound,
Correct.
and you said she wasn't really given much of a story.
Correct.
Is it fair to say that she could have been a little bit foggy, fuzzy because of that head wound?
Your
That's
Honor,
fair
I
to say.
object. That calls for speculation.
Any response?
Fair.
Okay, I'll sustain.
Okay, moving on. So she wasn't very cooperative.
Correct.
But what she did say was that Cody approached her,
Yes.
and she didn't deny having hit Cody, correct?
Correct.
She was honest about that.
Yes.
And she also indicated that Cody appeared to be throwing rocks of some sort at her car.
Yes.
And throughout your investigation, I know you had limited contact with Matt and Cody, but did you have contact with the Logan?
I did.
Okay.
Did you say on scene?
Well, oh no, just did you contact Logan?
I did.
And-
That was probably hours after the fact, yes.
Okay, but this was a part of the investigation?
Correct.
Okay. And where did you meet with Logan?
At his residence at the time.
Okay. And Logan would be Cody's son?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And when you spoke to Cody, or not Cody, I'm sorry, when you spoke to Logan, did you become aware of the gun that would have been used during this or during the altercation?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And with your communication with Logan, did he inform you that he in fact
Your
shot?
Honor, I'm going to object. This question is going to elicit hearsay.
Objection, hearsay?
Well, I believe it's not necessarily hearsay in that it goes directly to the state of mind of Tabitha. So gunshots and confirming a gunshot going off would be setting the, I guess, the scene or setting the tone of what was going on, therefore helping or creating in Tabitha's mind what the heck's going on. There's gunshots. So it might be hearsay, but it doesn't, it's not offered for the truth of matters really either, but ultimately it goes to her state of mind.
Your response?
I would argue that what another party tells this trooper when the defendant is not present could in no way impact her state of mind.
I'll sustain the objection. I'm not finding a valid non-hearsay purpose being proposed.
Based on your communications, it was verified that a gun went off that night.
Yes.
Multiple gunshots.
Yes.
And those gunshots went off prior to the assault?
Yes.
Okay. The assault, what I mean by that is the incident with
yes.
Cody. Thank you.
Cool.
And I think I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jeff?
Thank you. Just briefly. You indicated when you spoke with Tabitha that she was not there for the altercation, that she heard yelling and gunshots. Is that an accurate?
That is what she told me, yes.
Okay. Did you question her why she would leave a different vicinity and go towards where she heard gunshots?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay.
I believe she told me she said she wanted to see what was going on.
Okay.
She said she heard yelling, gunshots, and went to go see what was going on. I believe she said, I don't know if it was her camper or Davey's camper, she said she was in the camper in the back, heard yelling, heard gunshots, and went to go see what was going on.
Okay. Through the course of this investigation, was anyone else that was interviewed or stopped that night found to have a gun in their possession?
No.
Oh, and it's safe to say you all were looking for a gun?
Correct.
Okay. Through the course of your investigation, you were led to believe that it was Logan that had the gun?
Yes.
Okay. And how far was Logan from the scene when you were able to retrieve the gun?
I would say he's staying in Allegan County. I'd say 10-minute drive,
Okay. So he was 10 minutes away.
approximately.
Any indication that he was on scene when you arrived?
I believe I did find out after the fact that he came back to the scene after he heard Cody was injured. I don't
So
believe.
after the assault, he may have been back on scene?
Yes, and I don't believe anybody made contact with him or interviewed him, but I do believe someone got his name that he was there. And
Okay. And you were then able to find him that evening and retrieve the gun?
yes,
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Ms. Michak, anything?
Did Logan indicate why he came to the scene?
I'm going to object for the same reasons.
Okay.
Is that the-
Okay. I'll sustain.
Excuse me. It's really loud.
I guess I'm stuck, so I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One moment. Jury, do you have any questions of this witness? I see at least one hand going up. Did you write it down already? Okay. I'll be asking one of the two questions that were asked. I've determined under the law not to ask the other question. Sir, did Tabitha receive medical care?
yes, she did.
Okay.
She was transported to the hospital.
Okay. Counsel, any follow-up questions?
Yes, just really briefly. Did she initially deny medical treatment?
She did multiple times after asking her.
Okay, and so what ended up changing was the, I'm sorry, that would call for speculation. was it ultimately her decision to seek medical care, or was that a determination made by law enforcement officials?
I do not recall how that ultimate determination came to be.
Okay. Can someone being transported to the jail come with open wounds?
Not typically.
Okay. So in your training and experience, if there is an injury, that needs to be addressed before being lodged at the jail?
Correct. I
Okay.
believe we were just more concerned about everyone making sure their injuries were treated at the time, so I don't think it was to get her treated to go to the jail.
Thank you.
Ms.
I have no questions.
Me check you. Okay, neither have any more questions? Jury, do you have any more questions of him? Thank you, sir. You may step down. Ms. Jeff?
At this point, Your Honor, we would rest and consider any other witnesses to the defense.
Okay. Looking